Peace family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how we will no longer be self-sabotaging, you know what I'm saying? I feel like for a lot of us that's got into a certain space in our journey and that's walked a certain life already in general, we realize like a lot of shit that's going on around us that we feel like is happening to us, which maybe a good portion of it is self-sabotage. And I was diving into this subject, just kind of thinking a little bit more on it and time traveling on it, right? And I realized like it's really hard for a being to get beside me and to destroy me as if I'm unaware. One, because I'm extremely intelligent. Two, because I'm extremely fucking self-aware. But I realized what the catch-22 with that was, right? I am self-aware on an extremely high level. But I did and I do have a self-sabotage kind of connected to my cycle. And most of us do. That's highly empathetic. And it happens because we tend to give more to other people. We tend to put other beings before us. I had a being that I used to deal with like over 10 years ago, and we recently reached out and we conversated through like Facebook Messenger or some random shit like that, right? Whatever. They was telling me about how they met another witchy dude and he put on this good facade and blah 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 and all this other things, but he happened to be a Libra. And I just kept thinking to myself, this is why I don't fuck with astrology and all of that other shit that they have going on, because this Libra does not operate that I operate, but we're both quote unquote Libras. It's fucking toxic ass way of putting everything together in one bunch. I don't fuck with it. Either way, long story short, I asked her, what did we have in common? You know, because she's explaining and breaking it down and saying, no, he's a Libra and blah, blah, blah. But for me, I know any engagement I have could be a learning experience. So for me, I used to run into and dealt with a lot of tarot readers and people who are into astrology and all of these things. So it's like, all right, well, here's a learning time for me. What was it about that Libra that made us the same? And her answer was, I always put other people before me. And she was like, well, I guess you got to a point in your life now to where you don't do that anymore, or you figured out a better balance for it. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of was more confirmation that went hand to hand with the self-sabotage. So with the self-sabotage, right? And with us being highly empathetic and just constantly giving energy, you know, and constantly putting other beings before us, they don't have to come into our life and stab us a bunch of times. They don't have to shoot us a bunch of times. They don't have to even touch us. What happens with us, because we put other beings and their energy and motion before ours on a percentage scale more so often than we do ourselves, what happens is while we're putting their energy in front of us, all they're doing is distracting us. They don't have to harm us or do anything because they have a vision that they can already see us lacking self-discipline in certain areas, not being really motivated and inspired. I don't really like using those words, to kind of do what we gotta do, you know what I'm saying? So I realized like a lot of shit for us when we get to this space, it don't really have to do with the other beings damaging us. It's more so it has to do with us self-sabotaging. So an example, right, is I knew I needed to move coming up, but months ago I had discussed it and I started taking steps looking into it. But because I was at a weak state and that was still another new for me, I didn't have the discipline to push myself months prior to do what I needed to do, what needs to be done now. And having another being beside me, it was just a constant reminder of me self-sabotaging myself. It's hard for me to look at other beings for help when I'm not taking the steps in a certain area my damn self. So that's when it becomes even harder being around witchy motherfuckers and you know that you're constantly taking steps to move forward, but now you don't have the strength to kind of pull yourself and to push yourself to kind of do it, and you're kind of lingering and lagging. And then what's happening is the energy is transferring. They come to us, they charge up, they feel good, they feel juicy, you know, they full of life, they vibrating, they can take on their day, they can do new obstacles and create things if they like, because now they're juiced up. But what happens for us on the opposite spectrum, we're getting all of their witchy, pity party, sympathy, you know, the insecurities on top of our own shit that we're gonna have. We're getting all of their shit pounded on top of us as well. So when we don't have that other being beside us that's at our frequency or higher, the other beings, they just kind of just sit back, because we're gonna self-sabotage. We are not having the self-discipline to constantly do it 24/7. Now the thing about us is we're disciplined enough to continue to grow and to not be in the same places and spaces. But a lot of us have already been programmed. So we're removing apps and we're installing new apps. And then we're creating new routines and rituals that we do every day in our life. You know what I'm saying? So just being aware that a lot of beings that come into your life, they are not even gonna have to do anything if you are not disciplined the way you need to be disciplined. You will self-sabotage yourself more. You'll do all these things. I've done a hell of a lot of things to kind of keep going and raising this frequency, but then because I'm not aware of my fucking cycles, because we all have cycles, since I wasn't aware of my cycle, I would get up here to this place. It's like a Ferris wheel. I'm going around the Ferris wheel. I'm up here, blah, 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 blah. As soon as I start coming down, it's like, it's almost like it takes a fast jump. It's not like a gradual. You know, Ferris wheels are gradual. They kind of keep the same speed. Now, mine's is like gradual, gradual, gradual. You get up and then it's like, whoa, that shit just drops straight the fuck down. And then it's a gradual climb back up. And then it drops straight the fuck back down. And I realize a lot of this shit, like just even me being in the space I'm in now, and each chapter and step I take, you know, in my journey, every time I bump up to, you know, a new place, I don't have the same trials and tribulations, because I'm growing and I'm learning. If you're learning, you're earning. Simple process. So if you want to earn, just make sure you're learning. God damn it, that's gonna add more value to you and to the beings around you, even if they don't want to, because you got so much value on them. You're forcing them to learn and do shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just rubs off. It's kind of like how lazy people, if you're around lazy people all day, it kind of makes you a little bit more sluggish. Or if it's not making you more sluggish, it makes you have to work harder to keep your thoughts in your spiritual realm positive, productive, and moving forward. You know what I'm saying? But just understanding that you will self-sabotage some of your situations. It don't have nothing to do with the other beings around you. Some of the other beings are really good at reading energy to the point to where, all right, well, yeah, I know I ain't got to do nothing for him. I already peeped him out. I scoped him. I see he's really good in these areas, but he's weak in this area. Okay, I peeped her out. I already know where all her strong areas at, but I see that she's weak in this area. You know what I'm saying? So we all know how to read energy. I don't ever want people to think that we don't know how to read energy. We're all spiritual beings having a human experience first. I don't give a damn how witchy you are. Even the witchiest motherfuckers got pushed to the side so another spiritual entity can get in there. So we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. We all know how to read energy. Quote-unquote narcissists are extremely well at reading energy. They just make witchy decisions because of where they're receiving their insight and information from. But that's why they are really good at creating a mask and facade, is because they already have a little bit of the sauce in there because of the being that they are. But the entity takes charge. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, you could use a little bit of the sauce because this is your character, and you could use a little bit of your sauce because it creates a mask. But motherfucker, I'm in charge of this vessel. You know what I'm saying? And when them entities come across, they already hip. They're like, oh shit, he got a knife in his pocket. As soon as he sit down, that shit gonna stab him in his leg because his jeans too tight. So it's just little small examples like that. Like, why would you need to go, you know, bully somebody who's already harming them damn selves? You know what I'm saying? They already damaging themselves. So it's like, at the end of the day, our self-awareness, we supposed to be learning and taking more and better steps to kind of progress into a better space and a better light. And just understanding these cycles that we do go through. Narcissists got cycles. Yep, I just say that. But the demons, the witches, warlords, whatever we want to call them, they have cycles. Their cycles is in reverse. Alright? Their cycles is like this, counterclockwise. Our cycles is clockwise. So once you start understanding the difference and what's going on, that's why when them two come together, it's like this. Pong. Pong. They're not spinning together in sync. They're going like this. Smack. Smack. And they're fucking each other up in the process. You know what I'm saying? So as long as you can, you know, take some analogies, paint the picture yourself, or, you know, be involved with somebody who's really good at painting pictures. Honest, genuine artwork, you know, not the weird witchy shit, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't want to run it up too long. We can and we do self-sabotage. Understand where you are at in your cycle, and understand that all the beings around you, they don't have to hurt you. They can see your weak points and see, okay, I just won't help or assist in these areas, and watch them crash the fuck out. Or just watch them have a harder time, because we don't always crash out. It just makes things a lot harder for us. We make things harder for ourselves, and they just sit back and watch. It's the only difference, you know what I'm saying? But tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.